Well, Tasha and Russell, they both love reading books. Tasha and Russell, they both love reading books. Well, what do you do when you share such
Welcome
love?
to the
Well, you start a
114th
club, you
episode of the
start a club, an
ABC Pod,
adult
the
book
Adult
club,
Book
an
Club with
adult
Taja
book
and Russell. I am Russell.
club,
She
and a
is Taja.
Hello.
podcast.
Hello and welcome back, everybody, to the podcast where we drink and we read things. And on this episode, we read Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. But before we get to that, it has been 2 weeks, Taja. What have you been getting up to?
Not much. It was town meeting day last week, so I voted for some town elections. I've actually been reading more because I tried to start watching more Turkish soaps, but none of them have this guy that I'm totally obsessed with in them, and I'm just like, I can't. I don't care because he's not there. So I've just been rewatching the original one, and what is great, I do what Angie does, and I read a book, and then when the scenes that I want to see happen, I read those subtitles. So I'm reading more. I finished this book while I was doing that, the podcast book, and I've gotten much deeper into my Murderbot book because of that. Um, yeah, and then just like casual World War III. So like everything's great. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure other things happened, but I am terrible at this, and I like just woke up.
Nice. For me, not really much going on either. I feel like it's that part of the year where it's like we're all ready to get out of our houses, and also, I don't know, we've like given up all the inside projects we were gonna do, so it is like I'm just gonna be a slug and like watch TV or read books or just, I don't know, wait for the weather to actually turn, which it
Yeah.
has for the most part. But yeah, not much going on here. It was Amanda's vacation week, so we were gonna try to do some stuff, and instead she was sick the whole week. So
Oh, bummer.
that put a damper. I nursed her back to health well enough for her to have one adventure day, which she took with Lauren instead of me.
That
So,
tracks.
yeah, typical all my hard work for no payout for me. It was lovely. Anyway, and aside from that, yeah, I skated on the rink one more time on Monday. I'm pretty sure that's going to be over with as we're supposed to see 60 down here next week.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
gosh. It's been cold here still. Like we had one day this week that was in the 40s and that was lovely, but we've still got a ton of snow. It's cold AF
Yeah,
and
we've half
icy.
started mud season because we had a day that almost reached 50 this week. So like the melting is happening, but the snowbanks are still huge.
Yeah,
And it's so crazy. The weather, I use three different apps to like track weather because I have
because
anxiety about
they're
it.
not all accurate. Yeah.
Yeah, so like the Weather Channel is usually been pretty good, and we got a storm last night overnight, and they were saying 4 to 8 inches of snow, and the other ones were saying 2 to 4. And I woke up to like half an inch of snow because apparently it was all rain and ice, which is perfect because I don't have
Then
anywhere to
you have to
put
plow it.
eight
Yeah.
inches of snow. But yeah, so I'm ready. I think we've said this, but I'm ready to be done with this. Let's
Yeah.
fast forward a little bit here. And
Yeah.
aside from that, I don't have any stories about it yet, but for all you listeners, a little teaser for next episode. Our 20th high school reunion is this coming weekend. It's actually tomorrow. And while I'm not going, I am sending some super secret spies to get all the dirt and stories. So it should have a good, I don't know, hopefully a few things to laugh about for that, from that next week.
That'll be interesting.
It will be something. So, quick recap. You're welcome. This is with our boring times, and that means this is your every episode reminder to follow us on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. We see you, you, just you. What else? At Adult Book Club 21. That is Adult Book Club 21, all one word. Um, yeah, and follow us there. Hi, Bearish, our friendly cat that comes to the sound of my voice, apparently. So, on that note, we'll get back to the book, which once again was Trail of Lightning by Rebecca Roanhorse. Trail of Lightning was the debut novel for Roanhorse and was originally published in 2018. The conclusion of the Sixth World series came in a second book titled Storm of Locusts and was published in 2019. She has another trilogy titled the Between Earth and Sky series and has three standalone novels, two of which are in the Star Wars universe, and also one titled Race to the Sun, which focuses on Navajo mythology. She has written countless short stories and essays, as well as some comics, and worked as a writer on two different TV shows, one being A Murder at the End of the World, and the other being the Marvel series Echo. So I've not seen either of those,
Interesting.
but I at
No,
least
me
recognize them.
neither.
Yeah, so she's been doing stuff. And on that note, Tasha, if you want to read us the jacket, we will get going.
All right. While most of the world has drowned beneath the sudden rising waters of a climate apocalypse, Dinata, formerly the Navajo Reservation, has been reborn. The gods and heroes of legend walk the land, but so do monsters. Maggie Hosky is a Dinata monster hunter, a supernaturally gifted killer. When a small town needs help finding a missing girl, Maggie is their last best hope. But what Maggie uncovers about the monster is much more terrifying than anything she could imagine. Maggie reluctantly enlists the aid of Kai Arvizo, an unconventional medicine man, and together they travel the res, unraveling clues from ancient legends, trading favors with tricksters, and battling dark witchcraft in a patchwork world of deteriorating technology. As Maggie discovers the truth behind the killings, she will have to confront her past if she wants to survive. Welcome to the Sixth World.
Nice. So, as that said, our setting is in a post-apocalyptic world that is indigenous in nature. So here is our feels like every episode alert or warning, whatever. We're gonna screw up some pronunciations.
Pronunciations.
Yeah. Obviously, we're trying our best. Nothing is intentional here.
Yeah, I
So
have no idea if what I just said was correct.
I Googled a couple of them because thankfully it was pulled from like real mythology.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try, but yeah, no guarantees.
Fair.
And on that note, so our main character is Maggie Hosky. What did you think of our monster slayer?
I mean, like basically a badass.
Yeah,
Like the whole strong female lead thing, but very typical, also very damaged, lonely, and like she lacks self-confidence in like certain areas and then has a lot of confidence in other areas, which is relatable. Um, I think that uh yeah, I think the damaged part is pretty plays pretty heavily into her whole vibe.
yeah, and I think she's somewhere around early 20s.
Yeah,
It's
that's the
kind of
impression I got.
because what happened to her grandmother, I think she said she was like 16 or something like that, and then she had spent a few years with uh
That guy.
her mentor. Yeah,
Yeah.
like if I can look at the name, I might be able to get it, but no.
Yeah.
With her mentor, and now it's been like kind of almost a year since that happened. So early 20s, post-apocalyptic world. So you got to grow up a little bit quicker. The thing that frustrated me in all of that was, and I'm not trying to yuck her damage or anything like that, but it really felt like the damage was like a little too drawn out to
They
me.
talked about it like a lot, but didn't really talk about it. It was like we're gonna say it was like the carrot
Yeah.
of Croatia. Like
Yeah.
we're gonna reference it a bunch, but we're not gonna like go into any kind of detail about exactly why she's so damaged from it.
Well, and we see in the beginning, like, okay, kudos for the quick hook, right? We see her
Mhm.
as she goes on her first monster hunt in 9 months or something like that to try to save this little girl who's been taken by a monster that she doesn't really know what it is. And in the process of saving the little girl, the monster had already started eating her, basically. And Maggie has it in her head based on what she's been trained with
Fed.
and
Yeah,
seen is that once the monster like once it's like a disease, so once
yeah,
you're infected somehow there's a greater chance than not that you're going to become a monster once you've been tainted by it.
right.
So spoilers of the first 20 pages of this book, she kills the little girl, or she saves her by killing her, because what happens one day when you get the taste of blood and turn against your family. Now that seems to be the basis of her entire,
Outlook.
well, and also like her entire damage, right?
Yeah.
It was because her mentor was basically like, I see something bad in you. You're probably
Right.
becoming a monster, and then
Right.
abandons her. And so her whole last 9 months has been sitting in her trailer being like, am I a monster? And it's like,
Yeah.
dude, do something. So
Yeah.
even though it wasn't like extremely well explained, it was very Croatia, as you were saying, where it just kind of was that crutch that we fell onto, where it was like, well, the damage, well, the
Right.
trauma, I'm
Right.
dealing with this. I push everyone away. And it's just that frustrated me,
Yeah.
especially when you couple that with her profession, if you want to call it, of monster slaying, where, as you said, incredibly confident in
Yeah.
herself, knows what she's
Super
doing.
skilled. Yeah.
Yeah, super skilled. Even when she doesn't know what she's doing, she's good enough to fake it and
Yeah.
can get herself out of scraps with her um, skills, with her experience, with her clan powers and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
I I thought there was a lot here that could develop into a really good character. But
Yeah.
the frustrating thing, and this is kind of going to be a reoccurring theme, I think, for me in this podcast, was we just tapped the surface of Maggie and we didn't really get super deep into her to learn more about what was going
What makes
on
her
or
tick? Yeah.
yeah. And again, her like walls were so high that no matter
Hmm.
what, she just kept putting them up or referring to them. And yeah, that like thinking back, just how that became her automatic response was incredibly frustrating to read because I'm reading to learn about you, not for you to just be like, ugh, walls, cool.
Right. And I think you put it well, how it's like that became a bit of a crutch. Like, if we don't want to, we can explain away some behavior or whatever. We can have her acting a certain way in a situation and just be like, oh, it's because of the damage.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of doing a disservice to a character that could be really cool.
And maybe she works through that in the second book, but
Yeah.
you would hope to see at least some of that here.
Yeah.
And like the fact that, as we were talking about before, that this seemed to be setting up for something much bigger to learn that it's only 2 books, maybe,
I was shocked.
yeah, that's, or man, maybe there's more coming. It just wasn't on her Wikipedia page, but it didn't seem that way as she had gone on to other things. So, uh,
Yeah.
who knows? But yeah, I wanted more from Maggie. I wanted that growth too, which spoilers
Did
before spoilers, I don't think we really saw any.
not really. I mean, it felt like not so much growth as like staying in the same zone.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. I feel like she had maybe a different outlook, or she was like starting to want to change.
yeah.
But
There was like some cracks in the wall,
yeah.
and then like she looked through and was like, nah, and like put some new paint
Yeah.
over that mistake. So, but we'll get more into that in spoilers. So let's get into our setting, our sixth world. What did you think of the world Roanhorse? Yeah, Roanhorse was building. The idea of the big water and the return of gods and magic.
So I think that the like idea of a big climate catastrophe totally tracks and feels very,
Eminent.
yeah. Um, I I kind of like the concept of like the wall. I think that's neat, especially because it sounded like there was sort of a mystical, magical aspect to it, how it's like different in different areas.
Mm,
And I think that concept is really cool. But you said something before we started recording about how a lot of the world building environment wasn't explained enough. Like there's magic and there's gods now, but like for why?
yeah.
What made that happen? Or like go into a little bit more detail of like I don't know, maybe not like the reasons. There's probably like not like a scientific time that you can pinpoint, but it just felt like there was a lot of stuff happening and not a lot of explanation as to why like how does the wall keep out all of this water? The whole rest of the world is drowned and you're in a drought and there's magic, but you don't like where did that come from? Is that only here? Is that everywhere that there's magic? Like that kind of stuff just wasn't
Well, and I
made
don't
up.
even know if it was the whole world was drowned, right? Because we hear about New Denver and Albuquerque, or the Burke, as it's called now.
Yeah.
And were they inside the wall or were they outside the wall? Because like
Right.
New
Like how do
Denver
people
was,
get through?
yeah, because like New Denver was like a Mormon overtaking, according to them, or whatever. And Kai, that we'll get into, came from Albuquerque, and he mentioned that he had gone through like a small town that was near the wall, right? So he like had to do a wall crossing or something. So I assume there is world out there, but we didn't really get into it.
Well, and that and like is the rest of the space like water world or was it like a big water came and like everything's destroyed and now the water's like dissipated, but
Yeah.
like that like you said it just wasn't clear.
Yeah, this was something that frustrated me, and I'm going to steal your line from last episode, where it just felt like throughout this whole story, we put a bunch of things in the blender because we were like, oh, we need more of this, we need more of that, we need more of that. And what happens when you do that in a recipe is you end up tasting none of it because it's just too much stuff. And that's kind of the metaphor I'd use for this, where there's just so much going on that, and it's a relatively short book. Like if
Yeah.
it's 300 pages, it's not even 300, it's like
It's not even.
290,
Yeah.
and very well spaced. So a reader's delight for sure. But still, it just because we didn't have a ton of time and you kept throwing more things on top of this, we never really got into any of it. So, like when we talked about this, or when I read the back of this book, like I was like indigenous post-apocalyptic. Those are two things I could really be about. Also, what was the other thing? It was like self-growth or something like that, which I've already
Yeah.
referenced didn't really
Coming of
happen.
age or something. Yeah.
Self-journey, yeah, yeah. But so reading this, and I remember our reaction being like, "Oh, Waterworld, we're gonna do a Waterworld, sick." We didn't do a Waterworld. We just referenced that Waterworld was out there, but we were perfectly safe in here. And where it didn't really work for me was it was like, okay, we have this cool idea. This happened. This is the reason for the wall. This is the reason for kind of why, I don't know, civilization's taken a little bit of a step back, but it didn't really, right? We
It
weren't
didn't
using
seem like
like,
enough of a step back.
yeah, we weren't using cash and cards, so the barter system came back cool. But we still had like these cities built up. We still had generators, and we had fuel somehow. We had vehicles, like
And
which
like
I,
food wasn't a discussion at all.
even though we're in a drought, we like have enough
Mhm.
stuff to make whiskey, which is like a corn or some rice-based
But
bread or
like
some shit.
coffee's really hard to come by and
Yeah,
like there were thing it definitely felt like she was trying really hard in some circumstances to make it seem apocalyptic and then others where it was like we're just gonna like not we're gonna gloss over this.
yeah. People were using bullets like they weren't going out of style.
Oh
Like
my
you
God,
didn't have to
yeah.
worry about restock or whatever loading
Making
your own
new
stuff or
ones, yeah.
making, yeah, whatever. So it just felt like I have this idea. Cool. I'm not going to get into it though. For why?
Just go with me.
And like, well, I already feel like starting off a little bit. I feel like I'm positively talking negatively about this book. Like, I really wanted to love this book
Hmm.
because I thought there was a lot of cool things about it. And
Yeah.
even while we're reading it, I thought there was a lot of cool things about it. The frustrating thing is just there we didn't, I don't know, it just felt like the execution fell off, which that's the part that annoys me, like because I think you had a great idea. I think you had actually too many great ideas. And if we could have just focused on a couple of them or really like made a point to, aside from being trapped within the walls, which, and again, this like the reservation or the land, whatever, the sixth world, whatever you want to call this, it's not like one town. It's
Right.
it's a huge
Huge space. Yeah.
swath of what used to be part of the US.
Right.
So it wasn't like they were confined either. Like they had multiple towns here and different things. And so, yeah, there was, I don't know, it sounded really cool. I just think it missed. And as you were touching on, like the idea that the gods came back, again, cool. But how? Why? Like, why would a big water cause them to come back?
Pause that.
Maybe
Yeah.
because like a new world was born. I don't know.
I think that
But
they did kind of touch on that, the whole six world thing.
open the
Like
gates.
Yeah, but it wasn't there wasn't enough of an explanation. I think, like you said, the expectation that we both had going into this was that it was going to be like really cool and badass, and there are really cool and badass ideas, but it just didn't really meet the expectation.
Yeah, it reminds me, 'cause, Matt and I were talking about it recently, Project Five, the big play that we did, because I came in the middle of it. They had written, I came in the middle of the script and they had written, Matt and Russ come back and somebody asked what happens, and then my line was explanation of what happened. But they just kind of put that as like we'll put it in here later. Like we're just writing, we're thinking about
Yeah,
it
like
later.
fill
But
in.
I delivered it explanation of what happened, and they just thought that was funny, so we kept it. And like that's what I see as this, where it was like, oh, I'll
Yeah,
get back to that, and then we just never did.
don't.
It's like,
Right,
well, we'll just add more on top of it, and that way,
right.
like maybe we'll figure it out. And it's not like it was imperative, and part of it is like being okay, I know the US, I know post-apocalyptic world, we're not dealing with anything crazy here. I understand a barter system. I think that did make it easier to just gloss over that than like the Genesis of Misery, where it's out in space and different worlds
Yeah,
and they have all these different
yeah.
cultures that we don't understand.
There's less yeah,
So
less familiar.
there wasn't the confusion of last
Yeah.
episode. It was more just kind of the I don't know, sadness,
Disappointed, I
disappointment,
guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
of what was going on. So, um, yeah, we'll get. I don't know. We'll see if we get more into that as we go on. But moving on, we have our other main character. As we had, I guess he'd be our secondary, and then we had a ton of tertiaries. But Maggie's partner is Ta's grandson, Kai Arvizo. What did you make of our unconventional medicine man?
I said he's like a smooth talking, highly skilled hottie. Like, what's not to like? No, I appreciated his sort of like sticking out like a sore thumb in terms of looks.
Mm.
Um, but owning it. Um, I really liked him. I liked that the skills that he had were some of them were really overt and obvious, and others were a little like he was keep playing it a little close to the chest. And his like, I don't think this is really necessarily spoilers, but I appreciated that his like duplicitousness um it wasn't totally obvious. Like you don't have this like character coming in and as a reader being like, I don't know about this guy like the whole time. Like there might have been like little snippets here and there where obviously she's like, I don't trust it, like she points at it, but it does seem like um if somebody's changed, if a character has changed, it's probably him. Does that make
Yeah,
sense? Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
character development wise, I feel like his was more blatant.
Yeah, that's fair. I kind of had the opposite reaction. His charisma like really turned me off from him. Where I was just like, dude, take it down about 17 notches and then get back to me. And like we understand later on because of where he was coming back from, like why he was dressed so extravagantly. Sure. But I felt like his I don't know, the hairs on the back of my neck were always up around Kai. Like there was always something that was like I don't know,
A little
overly mysterious about
suspicious.
him, and it didn't have to be. And like I feel like that was one thing that kind of annoyed me a bit when it comes to Maggie is like she's so perceptive in the midst of
Mm.
battle, or like when it comes to survival,
But like social situations, she's like, "Brr."
such a dummy. And
Yeah.
like all the things this guy was giving off, and granted, yeah, he's incredibly good looking and he's flirting with her all the time. So yeah, that could maybe be distracting, but the fact that his eyes change color and like, oh, I
Yeah,
don't know
she
what
does
that's
kind
about.
of
It's like,
gloss over that a little too much.
yeah, it just felt like we were pointing these things out so much to the reader, and and
Yeah.
we're getting it through Maggie's POV. So it's like, okay, if Maggie's noticing these enough that we've now said it five, six
Yeah.
times, like
Yeah.
why are we not doing
Doing
anything
anything
about it?
about
Yeah, and
it.
like she might bring it up, and he'd be like, "Oh, what? I don't know what you're talking about." And
And
again, like,
she lets that slide.
oh,
Like,
Yeah, well, she's got her own damage. She's got her damage, so it's difficult. Uh, yeah, the fact that they were thrown together by Ta, like I did put him in spoilers. We could talk about Ta there. Like I enjoyed his character probably the most. Spoilers for
Yeah, he was great.
and like how cute he was setting them up, basically playing matchmaker, being like, "Oh, he could help you, but also he could help you." Hey,
Well, and
love it.
that's why like I think the whole time going into it, I like didn't necessarily think that Kai was like evil
Yeah.
because like Ta's a good dude and he's vouching for him and like I implicitly trusted Ta.
Met him for 4 pages. Knew
Yes.
everything.
No,
Was the
for
owner.
sure.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't really, I mean, I did and didn't think of it that way. It was just kind of more, again, like how we just kept revisiting the same things about him over and over. And yes, we did get some growth from Kai. You're quite, like, we learned more about his story. We learned more about his background. We learned about his powers and where he's coming from. So, yeah, I guess he was probably our character growth and the way he treated Maggie, especially like definitely helped her break out of her shell as caring for him made her become more social and then
Hmm.
vice as he cares for her we see it as well so that was all well and good but I think there was more times that he just frustrated me with kind of the charisma he was a
Yeah,
bard that didn't shut the hell up
yeah, that's totally fair. I do appreciate the times when he sort of acted like a therapist for her. Um, like saying things to her that I think maybe helped her break out of her like trauma spiral or like
Mhm.
recognizing things about what had happened to her that, basically like I think you said this before, like spent all her time with her mentor, um, being told that, the her being evil was inevitable and blah blah blah. And like Kai, I think taught to a certain degree, but I think Kai, like more directly, um, was trying to show her that she had value and worth beyond that, and like could, I think that was helpful for her in terms of the character growth that may or may not happen later on.
Yeah,
Um,
like just forcing her around somebody else was going to help her a lot because
yes.
she living with her 3 dogs and having like zero contact with anyone else for 9 months.
Yeah. Like even Rissa and Clive, like
Yeah,
her spending time with them, I think like helped as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was all brought to you by Kai, so good on him, I guess.
I guess.
I don't know. I just found him so unimpressive, and we spent so much time talking about his. I mean, his powers were impressive. I shouldn't take
Yeah,
that away
that
from.
is pretty cool.
And his like bravery was impressive, as he would fight without weapons, like that was his big thing. So good on him for that. But yeah, he did help her a lot, just being around, which is sometimes
Yeah.
all you can do for somebody. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess he was an okay partner. So before we get more into spoilers and everything else that's going on, we have your get to know your podcaster question. And this one can be as abstract as you want. So in this world, something neat that we see is the idea of clan powers that lie dormant inside of you until they are woken in a time of great need. And these powers are linked to your clan name and your ancestors. So, if your family had a clan power based on their history, what do you think it would be?
I don't know if this is like legit, but I feel like it would be like the power of engineering.
That's fair.
It's like I feel like my answer was something like I basically like an artificer or whatever if we're gonna like D&Dize it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the power of engineering, like my dad's side of the family has a boatload of really, really smart um engineering type folks. Like my great grandpa went to MIT and they were like, he's too smart for us. He was involved in creating the microwave oven, and he actually just passed recently. My great uncle. So my grandpa's brother, it was involved in the invention of like Bluetooth and MP3s. So like technology based
Yeah.
making shit. That would be my clan power,
I
even
think
though I
that
don't really have any of those skills, but
I think that's fair. It's because it's still lying dormant in you, of course, because
right.
great
It
needs
just
to
hasn't
happen.
been awoken yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine is the same because my dad's side has like a strong history in agriculture.
Ooh.
Like my great uncle, so my grandmother's brother had like a
Mhm.
tree farm.
Mm.
My dad had six siblings, and two of them had working farms on
Wow.
them. When my dad was like a late teen, early 20s, he helped build what became Londonderry Country Club, the golf course, like doing the
Whoa.
planting and
Yeah,
it,
the like
the
landscaping.
landscaping work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the house that I grew up in Merrimack, we had like a giant, it could have been a farm to feed us. Like it wasn't, we didn't sell
Like a
things,
big
but it
garden.
was ridiculous the size of this garden.
Nice.
So I think that it would be something like, um, what are those things that Foreign used to make good berries, I think, or something like that, which would give
Oh,
you like one hit
yeah.
point. That's
Yeah,
probably my dormant D&D based clan
that's
power would be I
amazing.
could make good berries or whatever they're called.
Awesome.
But yeah, same thing. I mean, I keep the plants in our house alive and like we plant stuff outside, but the last thing in this world I will do post-apocalyptic, the hardest thing for me would be getting back into gardening because I'm like, God damn it, I never liked doing that.
Really?
Oh no, just I mean my because like my aunt had big flower gardens, so we had to take care of
Mm.
those. And then literally like the picking season of beans and
For a
tomatoes
garden,
and
yeah.
garlic and all the work that you put into this shit
Yeah.
when you can just go to the grocery store. It's so much easier, guys.
That's
Yeah, my brother got it though. My brother loves gardening. It's ridiculous. So maybe it just works for me.
funny.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you picked up on that. That was I was like, sometimes these things can be very abstract, the ideas.
No, that was a good one. I like immediately thought of the artificery kind of thing. And like my dad's super handy with like he was a carpenter by trade for a long time and like I don't know, I make stuff.
You make stuff. You've done electricity before.
I have with moderate success. I haven't burnt down the house, so that's
That's
good.
more success than I have. It's like I do occasional plumbing when I need to. Welcome to our generation. So, let us know in the comments what your clan power would be if you had one. Just a cool idea, which we could probably talk about at some point. Actually, Maggie's powers. But anyway,
Yeah.
before we get there, we're going to get into spoilers. And to do that, we have your song. This is the part that we're going into spoilers. If you don't know the book, get out! Because this is the part that we're going into spoilers. It's time to learn who the bad guy really is and what all these past relationships and the drama is all about in spoilers. Awesome. Very quick spoiler section. Maggie and Kai learn they are hunting a witch that is using a relic known as the fire drill to create the monsters that are terrorizing the reservation. They are visited by Mai, the coyote god, who tells them the drill is being held by Mosi at her club. When confronted, Mosi tells them that she will award the drill to the winner of the title fight that night, and Maggie jumps at the chance. It isn't until she is in the ring that she learns she is facing her mentor, Nezgani, who is an immortal. She fights well, but is eventually pinned and stabbed through the heart. She is only saved by Kai's clan powers with medicine and healing. Maggie is convinced more than ever that Nezgani is the one behind the creatures, as well as the deaths on the res, including the old medicine man Ta, who was like a grandfather to her. She makes a plan to confront Nezgani on the Black Mesa, the last place they hunted together before he left her. She gets help from a local gang of mercenaries and the Goodacre twins. When the battle commences, Maggie has the high ground, hoping to draw Nezgani to her, but is shocked when he arrives and begins helping to kill the army of monsters. As this happens, Mai appears. He tells her that he has been the one behind the monsters since the beginning, including the ones that killed Maggie's grandmother and set her on this path. He wanted to forge Maggie into a warrior that was powerful enough to kill Nesgani because the coyote and him have been enemies a long time. Furious at the news, Maggie kills Mai and then heads for the battlefield in time to see the last monsters fall. She confronts Nesgani about her belief that he was the witch and tells him to go, but he refuses. He sees a terrible power in Kai and claims he will kill Kai unless Maggie does it first. She reluctantly agrees and shoots Kai in the heart, believing that his clan powers will revive him in time. She then uses the powerful rings Mahi gave her to bind Nesgani and imprison him in the land. Her allies turn on her and she wanders for a week until returning to her home where she finds Ta, and the two decide to wait for Kai's return together. So, yeah, that happened. Let's get into our maybe, maybe not villain. So Maggie is hung up on Nesgani throughout the entire story. What did you think of him as our villain, or believed to be villain, or probably not villain villain?
I said it's giving Stockholm syndrome.
Oh,
Um, like all the things we talked about before with like her damage and how he's basically then um I don't know, like manipulating her into believing that she's bad or whatever. Like it's incredibly unclear what he is, good or bad or somewhere in between. Um, I'm inclined to say that he's trouble for sure. And I think the move of trapping him and whatnot that she did was smart and the right choice. Um, I think that it also will help in her healing. Um, but yeah, it like I similar to other bits about the world building, I felt like there was stuff missing about him. Like he was this well-known monster hunter, kinda, sorta. He was also like Hercules style, like the son of a god or two gods or god and some other thing. I don't know.
yeah.
It was confusing. But that kind of confusion detracted, I think, a little bit from me caring much about
Fair.
him at all, good or bad.
Yeah, so it's interesting because he is actually the mythological monster slayer in well, in some kind of indigenous mythology. Like that came up
Okay.
when I like Googled his name to learn to
Okay.
try to learn to pronounce it. That's what came up. So, and same thing with Mahi. Like that is the real coyote god
The coyote, yeah.
of belief. So that was an interesting spin on it because now you're taking this thing that or this person. It would be like taking, I don't know, Hercules or
Yeah,
Zeus,
it's like a
and then being
known.
like, now this is him as a boy, and being like, okay, or whatever. The problem I had with Nisgani, one of the many, one, he didn't like humans. He made that
Right,
abundantly clear
right.
a lot, and
I thought
yet,
they were lesser and blah
yeah,
blah blah.
and yet he had this human with him for many years. And when you were just kind of trying to figure out what their relationship was like, the word that came to me was grooming. It felt like
Mm,
he was grooming her
mhm.
for a long time, and then basically got tired of his plaything and was like, "Nah, you're just a human.
Gonna
I'm
go
gonna set
somewhere
you
else.
adrift." And
Yep.
like she mentions in there when we relive the story of their fight at Black Mesa,
Hmm.
where they're whatever they're killing some kind of weird
Yeah.
creatures, how he like didn't even get involved, and she doesn't even remember. And we can touch on her clan powers here. Like her clan powers are like I forget, like
Super
people of the
speed.
arrow or something
Yeah.
and quick. So I don't know,
Yeah.
but basically it's all fighting.
Yeah.
So when she gets basically filled with these super adrenaline and feels the power come over her, she becomes a killing machine that can move faster than you can blink. So yeah, she's got that, and because of that, Nizgani convinces her that whatever happened to her when her grandmother was killed and the witches killed her and then tried to kill Maggie as well, they had tainted her, even though they didn't bite her or anything like that, but that becomes like the process, that becomes the thing she puts all her belief into, is because Nisgani has told her that she has basically been corrupted just by being around the acts of these monster.
Right.
Again, going
Right.
back to the beginning, that's why she kills that little girl. And what I get out of that is that little girl probably didn't have to die.
Yep, I agree.
Because that doesn't seem to be founded in anything, which
No.
is wild if you think of like that's our main character.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was frustrating, the grooming aspect of it. And then for him, so like Croatia, yeah, we hear about this Ghani throughout this whole thing. Again, he is the
Mhm.
emotional crutch, the trauma that we build on.
Mhm.
And then we meet him, he's just a fucking prick.
Yeah, he's not a good, yeah.
And he's controlling, he's
Yep.
like
Cocky.
and again, because he has groomed her, like he knows that she's attracted to him. And then
Yep.
he starts playing into that
He
now.
uses that.
After
Yeah.
after leaving her behind for a year, where he like kisses her as he stabs her with his fucking lightning dagger, not a
Yeah.
euphemism for his penis. And but like it was just I don't know, even though he wasn't the one making our witches, I think he would still be considered the villain of this story. Like he just the way he holds himself, the way he treats other people, and again, the fact that we don't even know, is it jealousy that for the reason
Yeah.
he turns against Kai at the end? Because like yeah, he sees the power he has, or maybe it's his eyes are silver and that means something to him. I don't know, but that just seemed not what you would think of from your like Hercules, how they would act.
Right. I mean, I think that possibly he was wanting to kill Kai because Kai is so powerful. Like his clan powers are so intense that it's like a threat to, I don't know, supremacy of some sort, or like, I don't know. I
Dude,
don't think that it's be
you're
I don't think
immortal.
it's because of Maggie. Like, I don't think that there's like a jealousy thing there because like you said, I don't think that he cares about Maggie.
Yeah. He wants to own her, basically. He
Sure.
sees her as property, I think, and
Sure.
if anything.
Right.
I wonder if it goes back. So we learned that Kai's clan powers have to do with medicine and weather.
Hmm.
So I do wonder if that's just it goes back to what Ta said at the beginning, where he believes that Kai is strong enough to like reverse the weather, and maybe that's where Storm of
Oh.
Locusts comes into play or something,
Oh.
where they're going through drought and everything here. So maybe he can change the world for the better, and maybe that shuts off the gods or something. Who knows? You know, so maybe that's part
Okay.
of it. I'm making all this up,
I
aside
mean,
from Ta saying that. But
that's
that could at least kind of piggybacking on your point about the
sure.
power he sees in him, that would at least make more sense for why he thinks
Of an
Kai should be
actual
around.
threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and the fact that like everyone's convinced, or not everyone, but Kai and Maggie are convinced that you can shoot him in the fucking heart and he's gonna live. That's
I,
wild.
yeah, I the logic there is not sound for sure. And I can absolutely understand everybody else's reaction to Maggie doing that and being like, GTFO,
Yeah.
bitch, because you just killed our friend.
Yeah. You killed the guy that was really great to you and like saved you a few times for this piece of shit. And like,
Yeah.
even though she does then trap Nizgani in front of them, I don't know. And then that was a weird, weird ending, but
Yeah, the ending was weird for sure.
we'll get to
Um,
that.
yeah.
Before we do, I had listed them here as secondaries, but I'm pushing them down to tertiaries. So we had quite a few tertiaries in our story, including the Goodacres, who were Grace, Rissa, Clive, Ta, Mahi, Hastine, and Longarm. I was wondering if any of these characters stood out to you. Did you appreciate any more than others? Wherever you want to go with these people.
I mean, I guess I appreciated Ta more than others because I just like immediately, implicitly, everything Ta said, I was like, this guy's the money. Like
Yeah.
he's the big man. So I loved him. I did like all the good acres. I think that, like we said before, like they were good for her to be around. They're, you know, I don't think they're not Native American, right?
We know, yeah, we know the kids at least aren't full blooded. I don't know if Grace was and the father wasn't, or neither of them were. That was
Yeah,
never
because I
really. Well,
thought
the kids
like,
have like red hair and freckles, right? So
well, I
maybe
thought that like that Grace was a black woman and their dad was like some redheaded white guy.
okay. Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't
I
know if
don't
that's
remember
true.
anything about them.
I do remember at one point when Maggie was like in the not the bar, but like their home part of it. And she'd seen a picture of Grace's husband, um, and saying how like couldn't be more different
Yeah.
looking.
Yeah.
So that kind of stood out to me, but that in my head, that's what I was picturing. Loved all three of them. Love Grace's like badass, I don't know, businesswoman slash whatever she is. And her kiddos were great. Love Clive especially.
Yeah. And I think it was part of like the whole Goodacre compound was one of the things that made it hard to believe it was post-apocalyptic.
Yes.
Like the way the bar was set up. So they have, yeah, like you were saying, they have like their houses there, but it's also mainly known for the bar. It's surrounded by a gate and fence. They have like guards standing by, which is one of Grace's other kids that we don't really get to meet.
Right.
But the fact that it's like, oh, come in for a cold beer. They have music playing. They have all this, and like it just, yes, that can be very generic, but like it just didn't feel like there was any spin on it that made it post-apocalyptic. And we learned that they're kind of smugglers, I think, right?
Yeah.
Maybe, but they also like look out for everybody around them. Like it was the meetup of like-minded people, and Grace had kind of left a bad impression last time she was there
Right.
as a drunk. And what kind of frustrated me about that whole situation was how quickly Grace 180'd on that. Where like maybe yes, her like anger towards
Maggie.
Maggie wasn't actually real because we're only getting it from Maggie's point of view, and maybe she's like a lot of people where it's like this is so much worse than it was.
Yeah.
So the fact that she was there to help Grace's kids, Clive and Rissa, when they go out to try to save that
The
town,
town.
does play enough of a part in it, but it just felt too quick for me. Where I was like, okay, I
There, it
understand you
was
can be
like,
like thankful, but she was like, here, have my entire estate.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I do think Grace's kids staying alive is extremely important to her. So I could
Yeah,
understand that being like a pretty solid payment or payback. But you're right. It was like you're kind of somebody that can be here, and I'm giving you like a time limit on how long you can be here. And then like, I will do anything for you.
I will trade my big favors for you. And that kind of became like a theme in this part of the story. Just talking about Hastine, we don't really have to get into it, but the fact that he's got that mercenary band with him that that Maggie had also fallen out on because she fucked up a job for them and screwed up a bounty, it sounds like, or something like that. So she still owes him money. But Grace calls in her favor to them and gives it to Maggie to get them to go along with her to die basically in this war or
Yeah,
battle, whatever. That seemed wild to me. It just like, again, if this is post-apocalyptic, based on everything you've seen, and maybe things would be better in a community where people actually
sure.
do look out for each other, but none of them have done that to this point. Everyone's looking out for their own. So why are we doing all this stuff for this outsider
Yeah.
just because she's our main character? It just felt a little
Bows. It was bows.
bows, forced bows. You're forcing bows
Yes.
on me. Um,
Yeah.
I didn't love that. I will say, going back to Ta, as you mentioned, he just reminds me of every old man that still has like a little bit of like trickster and playfulness
Yep.
in him,
Yep.
and like knows the way of the world and is really trying to force it on you, or push you in the right direction. I was annoyed um how much it seemed that Maggie took advantage of their relationship
Mm,
because she talks about how she'd only seen him once in the last couple of months, and that was like,
yeah,
girl, what are you doing?
definitely. Yeah, it like was kind of a one-sided relationship where she was getting 100% from Ta and only giving like maybe 25.
Yeah, until she needed something or needed to
Yeah.
be saved or I don't know.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. I will say because we saw more of him, Clive definitely stood out from the Good Acres with
And
just
just the whole like drag thing, I love that that was sprinkled in there, but oh man, yeah. I also really like appreciate a character that has um it's like a don't judge a book by its cover kind of thing. Like
yeah,
I got the impression he was kind of like a bigger dude who like looked tough, but
yeah,
then was like, I know how to make you look like a drag queen.
yeah. Yeah, because my last boyfriend was a drag queen, and
Yeah.
to get
And I
back,
kept all his
I
stuff.
kept all his stuff. Yeah,
Love that.
that whole like montage of the
Getting ready for the
getting
whatever.
glammed up or whatever. Yeah, because the club they end up going to is very you have to look a certain way. It was interesting. We spent a
It was.
lot of
It
time
felt
talking about Maggie's top.
we did. We did. It also felt a little out of place, like a little left field for the
Yeah,
rest of the story.
yeah. Well, you got to get some sexy in there, you know.
Yeah, I guess so.
Uh, the one that stood out to me that I just didn't really think needed to be there. This is talking if we're trying to cut ingredients. I thought we should have gotten rid of long arm. Like I know he stands out as like the racist piece of shit. Obviously, Maggie has troubles with the laws, so they get into it. We see a glimpse of Kai's power the first day, right? And then the next day, or whenever it is, a couple days later, when they go back and Taw's house is on fire, Long Arm is standing in their way. So, like, I understand why he was there. And then, like, as he beats up Kai, it awakens something, kind of forms their partnership. I
Yeah.
get it. But it just felt like if we're trying to like I don't know if we want to go deeper some places we have to get rid of some things and like long arm just felt like one of those things where it's like okay yeah he's your stereotypical racist piece of shit who like
I wrote
hides
that
behind a
long
badge.
arm. I wrote that long arm is an ICE agent.
There you go, there you go,
Like,
absolutely. So we
yeah,
had him in there, and I understand why he's there but I
he's a
just feel
tool.
like
Yeah,
we could have done something else with that time or discovered that partnership a different way.
yeah.
It was just in there to like, I don't know, be upsetting, I think. And obviously
Be
there's people,
stereotypical.
there's
Yeah,
very many people like that in our world. So obviously they're going to survive the apocalypse too. But
of course.
that's just one that stood out to me in a way that I was like, I wish this was better spent somewhere else again, trying to get deeper into this story.
Yeah.
The one that showed up the most was definitely Mahi, the coyote. And we learned that he is the coyote god. So there's that. And even with her like beheading him at the end, like he was telling a story to somebody at some point about the many deaths he's gone through. So like he's
Yeah.
definitely not dead. He
No,
just killed that
that
incarnation
version
of
of
him or
him. Yeah.
whatever. Maybe that stops him from coming back for a while. Who knows? But I will say he just like he's the trickster god, so he's going to give you
Don't
that kind
trust
of play.
him. Yeah.
But the whole like turn of him becoming the villain or
Mm,
like the main villain. This is kind of getting into the next question, but that's okay. I felt like it wasn't left field, but I didn't think his motivations were good enough.
I agree. It didn't necessarily feel left field like you're saying, because especially because he's like the trickster god. So it makes sense that there would be like a whoa.
Yeah.
But I agree that it didn't really, I wasn't convinced that that was where he would have landed. Does that make sense?
Especially like this is 5, 6 years in the making at this point because we learned he created all the monsters
And the one that killed her grandma and
and
like,
specifically sent them on them because he thought whatever he saw something in Maggie and if she was coddled as a real person she wouldn't develop into it or something. I don't know. That all seems so I don't know, just ridiculous to me. I
and
just
like,
didn't love it.
yeah, same. Yeah. Yeah, it
And
wasn't convincing.
exactly. And simultaneously, sure, Nizgani being the main witch didn't make any sense either. You know, because
No,
you needed the fire drill to make these things, and he didn't have it because
right,
Mahi had given it to Mosi. And it's like,
right.
so it just didn't line up at the end. And I think this is another situation where you're kind of flipping through and you're like, hey, I've got like 20 pages left. How is this really going to work out? And then when
Yeah,
it does, you're like,
that was weird.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, not getting deep enough into anything, I feel like you didn't give yourself the space to really like flesh that out. Like,
Hmm.
I don't honestly, when I was typing this up, I was like, why did he do it? And I was like, oh, I think he
Yeah.
mentioned something about like hating Nezgani at some point or something. Like, I remember him talking about wanting to forge Maggie into basically an arrow aimed at Nezgani, but it was like, but why? And it
But
was
why?
because I don't
Yeah.
really like him. I've never liked him or something. And it's like,
It
oh,
felt like a weak reason.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that kind of just dampens the ending. So
Yeah.
we can get into that. With everything else, what did you think of our ending? Our big fight scene, the way that we kind of touched on, but Maggie killing Kai, how she traps Nisgani, etc. What did you think of that?
So, I mean, we did just talk about this. Like, I think that it was sort of an easy out to have Mai be the bad guy and like still didn't really understand how, why, the motivations, whatever. So that made the ending kind of weird and like muddied for me. I feel like the fast forward button was hit, in a way that made it like not not good.
Yeah, and on that point, like those are things. First of all, I struggle with that in like our D&D campaign, where it's like, how many do
Yeah.
I really need to focus on? We traveled for 3 days. Do I need to give you something for all 3 days, or can I just be like, we traveled for three
We
days?
traveled.
And,
Yeah.
and it's you got to find that middle point because that it felt like this one was stuck in fast forward, where like I didn't understand really the size of the reservation or the area,
Yeah.
the sixth world they were stuck in. Because it was like, okay, now we have to go to this town, and oh, now we have to go back to this one, and now we have to do this, and okay, now we're going to go to the southern wall, and we're going to drive along that for hours to get to Black Mesa to do this thing, and like it just everything was fast forward. And again, having 20 pages left, it's like, okay, you've been building up to this big battle we're going to have. And I think it was like 2 paragraphs. It was really cleaned up where it was like Kai called on his weather to throw fire
Yeah.
tornadoes, basically. And then Nizgani showed up and murdered the rest of them that were flanking them. So it's like,
Right.
okay, so now what?
Yeah. Absolutely. So like I said that it seemed a bit Bose, but it wasn't necessarily Bose in like a resolution that made sense kind of way. It was Bose like a we got to just quickly tie this up. It was like zip ties, not Bose.
Nice.
Um where we're just like cobbling something together. Um and like having Mai be the ultimate baddie and then having the confusion with Nescani, like I don't it feels like still very muddied waters about all of that, and that was kind of frustrating. I do feel like maybe it was like made up for in terms of the bows with the zip ties by having Kai die.
Yeah.
Um, but then also that was bows because he's not potentially really dead. So her banishment, I think, or like the her friends being like, you need to leave, was maybe the most realistic part of the whole thing because they're seeing what they're seeing and they're also not understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
And so to witness her doing something so insane seeming, and like of course she can't explain it to them. So it was like equal parts understandable and also kind of annoying because then you're like, now there's just this other component that's going to need to be resolved, and we didn't resolve that either.
Yeah, and like I can understand being caught in the emotion of the moment. Right? But you see her shoot Kai, and also like, did we have to shoot him in the heart? Could we have just hit him in the chest somewhere?
Right?
Had to be like directly in the heart. Okay, but that was the only way she was going to get close to Nesgani, who would have also just killed Kai if she did.
Right.
Right? So it is one of those tropes where it's like, I'll kill you to save you kind of situation. But after when she like traps Nesgani in the land using the
The
rings
hoops.
and
Yeah.
hoops, wouldn't you think that would give them a chance to be like, hey, okay, I kind of see what you're doing? And she'd be like, his clan powers, that's what we're hoping for. Otherwise, we'd all be dead. So it's like,
Yeah.
yes, while this is
It's,
shocking, this was our chance to survive. Like, I felt
yeah.
like there was a chance for that conversation, but
And
no.
she just didn't take it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
needed her to be back to being the outsider with no
The
friend.
loner.
Like, what's going to happen, assuming in the second book, when Kai wakes up at the Good Acres area, whatever, he's going to be like, no, she like winked at me and we knew what was happening.
Yeah, like we
Everyone's gonna be like,
knew.
oh, it's okay now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the one bow next to all the zip ties. And just God, I wonder if Kai's ever brought himself back from being shot in the heart. I feel like probably not.
Probably not. And it didn't sound like it was easy for him to bring her back.
Yeah, he was
So
already in a
like,
weakened state too.
yeah,
Like
they talked about that a bunch of times, how
that
he
would
like wasn't doing
it
great.
would actually be kind of funny if he just died.
It would be. And they're like, oh shit. The only reason I don't think that's gonna happen is because when they she goes back to her trailer and Ta's there.
Yeah, they
Like
wait
he knows
together.
what's up. I
Yeah.
believe him.
Also the fact that she was like, "Hey, just don't bury him," like wait to
Yeah.
bury him, kind of thing. Like,
Like you could have explained more.
yeah, yeah. So it just, yeah. The thing I wrote here was I wasn't overly upset about it, but I wasn't overly satisfied either. Like,
Same.
at
I
least,
guess you could say it was like a decent setup for the next book, particularly with like her going back to the trailer and Todd and stuff. But it also is like because of the zip ties and the confusion at the end there, like I'm not gonna run out and get the next book. Like I'm not, it's not imperative that I know how this ends.
yeah, no, unfortunately not. Yeah, you didn't, again, and I think that's the problem with just doing surface level stuff. Like, you didn't give us anything to
Even the
actually get
characters,
involved in.
like
Get into your
yeah.
characters, get into your world. Like, you made the world unique. Let's talk about it.
Well, and I mean, the character of Maggie in particular is pretty, she like on the surface is really cool, but we only stayed at the surface. So, like,
Yeah.
I don't have any investment really in in her or any of the characters because that pattern stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, for additional spoilers, I had Ta lives, which we already talked about. But Ta
Yes.
lives!
Olives.
Uh,
Hooray.
they kind of mentioned quite a few times that they believed if anybody could survive, it'd be the old man. So I guess I'm happy that happened, but whatever.
But also, like, don't really
Yeah.
care.
Good for him, though.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to talk about before we move out of spoilers? Yeah, and again, like, feels like we're going really quickly here, but unfortunately, when there's not a ton of depth, there's not a ton to really dig into
Dive
ourselves.
into, but
Unless you
yeah.
want to hear all of our beliefs in what was happening, you know? I think this is what I thought
Our
was happening. What do you
theories.
think? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do
So
think that the pace of the book itself, like we talked about, like because you're only staying on the surface, it did make for a quick read
yeah,
because of that.
yeah, it was like 2 days, if that,
Yeah, it
maybe.
was not long.
Yeah, it's just a few Turkish episodes.
Yeah,
Went quickly.
yeah, no big deal.
On that note, we're going to move out of spoilers. Moving out of spoilers, we're not yet done with the book. We have to give it our grade. This is based on the D&D D20 scale, so 1 is bad, 20 is good. And then we add or subtract a characteristic modifier, ability, or skill from the game Dungeons and Dragons that we think best fits the story. We alternate every episode, so this time it is my turn to go first. And I will say, as I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, I wanted to love this book. So like, it's not, the negativity towards it comes more towards like the actual execution of it. I thought there's a
Yeah,
lot of really interesting ideas here that I wish we just got more into.
yeah,
Like, even just the fact that she's a monster slayer and she only slays one monster, one type of monster, right? She does
yeah,
hundreds of them, or whatever. But it just felt like there was so much more of a chance here to explore this world, and we didn't, to explore our characters, and we didn't. So that being said, I'm going easy on my roll. I'm giving this a 12. Again, great ideas, just not great execution. Also, the fact that it's a quick read
yeah,
wouldn't be the first thing I offer up to you, but uh, you know, I like I like to try to read more like indigenous stories and things like that. I like that it's based or it pulls from some of the mythology that I didn't know about, so I've learned some stuff from this.
mhm.
Again, like a lot of really interesting ideas. The idea of the clan powers and how that would show itself. Like, we didn't even really get into when she gets like the magic eye gloss or whatever the fuck it is, and she can like actually see the clan powers manifesting. Where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, like the long ears or whatever. They actually do have long ears to help them hear, but like the magic also hides that and other things like that. So like I thought there was a lot of interesting and fun in here. Unfortunately, it was more just disappointment at how it was
execution.
executed. So for me, I'm giving it a +1 for religion, but I mean that more as like spirituality.
Yeah,
Because I enjoyed that part of it, getting into that mythology, getting into the clan powers, getting into the ideas of like how we see Maggie handle like her relationship with Todd, the idea of like how he calls her something daughter, she
mm,
sees him as a grandfather, like that connection that they have with each other. And even we see like how, like the connection to the people, to each other as Maggie like doesn't take advantage. She like knows her worth, but she also like doesn't take advantage of that family when she kind of fails them at the beginning.
Yeah.
Seeing that mother, she couldn't actually bring her daughter back. So like there was again so much that I liked here that I wanted to love. And
Yeah.
that's why I have a hard time like actually shitting on the book because it just didn't come together. It was, the exact opposite of the A Team. I like when a good plan comes together. This one, not so much. I wish this good plan came together.
Yeah.
So for me, it's maybe a little judgmental in my scoring, but I'm giving it a 13.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of what you said there. I think that on the positives, it was a really cool concept. And I think that all these really neat ideas existed here. They just were sort of too surface level for it to be convincingly um, executed, I guess. Um, I do appreciate that it was a quick read. I do think that the pacing, um, possibly because there was only surface level stuff, was good because it was fast. But not like time jumpy fast. It made sense.
Yeah,
Um, so I'm giving it a 13 straight roll, and then I'm adding one, and I'm using medicine, big medicine,
nice.
because I think that the characters that emphasize that, so Ta and Kai, were probably more of my favorites.
Yeah,
Um, and I don't know, I just appreciate that aspect um of native culture and beliefs and stuff. And I guess I'd like to have seen maybe a little bit more of that in the story. And maybe this next book would like be a little more deeper into all of that. But yeah, so that's a 14.
nice. Yeah, I think like I don't know. I think at this point you can tell when we love a book, when we like a book, when we hate a book. This is
Yeah.
like I don't know. It's not very often that we find a book that we want to love and just don't, but like
Yeah.
also like still like it. Like it does.
Like
It's a tough needle to thread.
it is, and I feel like the thing that I come back to when I'm doing these ratings is like, who is this a book that I'm gonna like tell other people about or that I would like recommend other people read? And like, it's not high up on the list. I think there are people who um maybe gravitate towards this kind of fiction and maybe would appreciate it more than others, but like um it's not so amazing. But I also, if somebody was like, I'm reading this, I'd be like, oh, let me know what you think. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
can.
going to say, like, I'm not going to put my own opinion on
Yeah,
them.
you can at least explain what you were reading when you were reading it too. So that was helpful.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, that was helpful.
does make it better. So on that note, we're going to move away from the book one last time. It was Trail of Lightning, The Sixth World by Rebecca Roanhorse. Again, it is book one of two apparently in that series. Excuse me. Um, so you can find that in your fantasy section of your bookstore. And on that note, we are moving away from the book. Oh, and we overall gave it a 13 and a half. So not bad.
Yeah.
Again, if you like a quick fantasy read and you're into
Yeah.
this kind of spirituality and things like that, it could be for you.
Yeah.
Don't sign up for the personal growth story though. It's not
No,
there.
no, don't do that.
So on that note, we're going to move into segments, and I do want to start off with what we missed because you can thank our friend Twitter for filling this answer in for me. Last episode, I was trying to think of what that cringy sex scene was, and we thought it might be The Marvelous Light, the end of that book, but no, it was the most awkward threesome in the world. It was from Mickey 7, where
Oh,
7 and
yeah.
8 have a threesome
I
with
forgot all
their
about
partner
that.
there. And the reason it kept like bouncing around in my head was like I was like, I feel like we talked about the Farscape one with the two Johns and how you were like, I'd be all about that.
I would be.
And then yeah, I saw it. Somebody posted an image from the movie, and we're like, wow, this was a weird part of Mickey 17. And they're like, the book was weirder. 7 definitely wanted
Yeah.
it. So
Oh man.
anyway, in case you were following along, that's what we missed there. And moving on. Now we have current selection, Taja. So what else have you been getting into lately?
Yeah, so like I said, because I've been rewatching the Turkish shows, I have gotten pretty far into my Murderbot book, which I think is called The Network Effect. Um, it's just great. Murderbot's amazing. Martha Wells is amazing at world building, and I really love it. I will say that listening to those books rather than physically reading them is slightly a better experience, because I think um, the like voice of the murder bot is portrayed really well in the audiobooks. Like I'm snarky, so like I can read him well.
Yeah,
But there's just something about the fluidity of hearing it rather than having to like read all the paragraph or not paragraph parentheses stuff that's
yeah.
happening. Um, but it's still really great and I love it. I did also finish another book, an audiobook. I probably should have used this for the random recommendation, but I love this book so much. Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman.
Okay.
It's his newest one. It's not a Dungeon Crawler Carl like related at all. He is just I think he's a phenomenal author. He writes characters that are really rich and even though you don't necessarily like stay with them for a long time, you really feel for them. I bawled my eyes out at the end of this book. I was driving home completely like ugly crying. But the book is so good and it's so funny. Um, and yeah, it was amazing. I like in retrospect, we probably should have read it for the podcast, but I was already deep into it when I was like, okay, what's happening?
What type of story is it?
So it's like future um like humans have colonized other worlds. And this one colony on this one planet that took, 200 years of these generation ships to get colonizers there. Um, they, um, it's like third generation now that are on the planet. So the main characters are all these third generations born on planet, but the second generation born on planet, but their first generation born on the planet. So their parents basically all died at like 25. So there's like a whole, so like the people who came over on the ships are still alive as their grandparents, but they're dying off because they're old. And
Yeah.
then the generation that had birthed them died because of maybe nefarious things,
Huh.
unsure. So when they all came to this planet, they were setting up a ring so like you could have instantaneous travel between
Yeah.
Earth and there. Um, but that is going to happen like really soon. It's going to be finished, or maybe it did get finished. I think it did get finished, and now their travel is going to like start. But before that happens, these mechs that are remotely controlled by human gamers on Earth are coming in and they've been told that there's a terrorist insurgency happening on this planet and they need to like kill all the terrorists. But really, it's basically like a genocide scenario. But it's basically like this generation, the second generation from the planet, is fighting back against this.
Yeah.
And there's like AI conversations, there's genocide conversations, there's just like, oh my God, it's so good. Like Matt Dinniman is stellar at presenting really, really intense topics hilariously and so poignantly. Like again, ugly crying in like good way, like ugly, like sad crying and ugly happy crying, like
Yeah.
all in the same thing. I laughed a bunch. Like he's just chef's kiss. And it was narrated by Travis Baldree and shit, I forget the guy who does all of his Dungeon Crawler Carl ones.
Yeah.
So like really just well done and uh big love for that book.
Was it new? Is it new or
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. When
So you
did it
like took time off from Dungeon Crawler Carl to write this story.
I think so. Let's see.
Interesting.
So it came out, yeah, release date February 10th, 2026.
Oh, geez.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, so it's it's so good. Um, Absolutely would recommend it. I know you didn't like super love the Dungeon Crawler books like I did, but
It's not that
um
I didn't love them. It's just I think you enjoyed listening to them. I think listening to them would be different than actually reading them. Although they, I mean,
yeah,
they
this
are good.
one
It's just it's a lot.
yeah, this one I think you could read it very comfortably because it's not like the Dungeon
Lit
Crawler,
RPG.
the lit RPG thing is like a whole other
Yeah.
world. But this is just like full on um yeah, I mean he just does such good like thought-provoking shit in such a really funny and like impactful way. I am so impressed by this book.
Nice. Uh,
Um yeah,
yeah,
and I think I want to make a ribbon about it for Dragon Con.
nice. I'll have to check it out, for sure. Um, for me, I spent my entire life reading Ream D, which
Oh
I just
yeah.
finished this morning, so I could talk about it in full. So it's Ream
Nice.
D by Neil Stevenson. This is one that Angie had told us about.
Yep.
And it was going to be a podcast book, but it's 1,041 pages long.
That's huge.
And my God, does it use every single one of those pages? It was I really enjoyed it. The ending went a little long.
Okay.
Like by the time we got to the end, we had so many characters.
That it's like hard to keep track of
Yeah,
like
so the way the book is set up is like by day. So it's like day one, this happened. So here's what happened to this character, here's this character, and here's this character. And at first we have like, I don't know, three, right? But by the last day, we have a whole shit ton. And
nice.
as this is happening, like he's giving you a point, what is it called? Like a reference point where it's
Yep.
like, okay, and then the helicopter comes, right? So that's like, okay, now you're reading everything that happened to this character, and then the helicopter comes. Okay, that puts you where you know like how that cross references with each one.
Yes,
And
yes.
it just became a little bit lengthy as we like got to our big ending.
Okay.
And same thing, like we get to the end, and then we had like 4 pages of basically an epilogue, which is like 6 months later. It's not called an epilogue, but it basically is, which was fine. But it just took a little while to get there. Like it really reminded me of the last battle in the Wheel of Time series, but I had spent
Okay.
14
So
books with
long
those
leading up to
characters. So I cared a lot more about what happened to each one of them. And I did care. I mean, you spend 1,000 pages with somebody, you're going to care about them.
it.
But there's just a lot of secondaries that we kept getting their point of view. That I was like, okay, I get it. But basically, the book, like, I thought it was like this whole techno crazy thing, but really what it's about is so there's it's about this guy, and his nickname is Dodge, and he basically has a company that's like World of Warcraft. And
Okay.
he funded that company because he started off as a smuggler and he would smuggle drugs between the American and Canadian borders because he found like this passage that people had forgot about over time. And
Okay.
as he builds up his wealth, as he builds up his corporation, he like buys the land on both sides of that border.
Yep.
And on one side, he has like this great skiing village, and on the other side, his one of his brothers lives there in like a anti-government commune. Like think was uneducated. Think
Mm.
like her family, but a lot of families like that.
Okay.
It's like you're not going to take my guns. You're also not going to collect taxes. You're not going to do shit. We
Yep.
know our rights or whatever.
Yep.
So they live on the American side. The northern side is Canadian. Long story long, um, because of the game, this guy who like works for a mob boss gets the virus, and he goes after the person who gave him the virus, and it turns out to be Dodge's niece and her boyfriend at the time. So they get
Okay.
twisted up into this Russian mob that then takes them to China to go after the hackers or the troll who originally made the virus.
Okay.
While doing that, well, that raid of the apartment goes poorly because they raid the wrong apartment, which turns out to be a bunch of terrorists. Yes, that were in China. They were being watched by like MI6.
Sure.
So this building gets leveled, and now we
Yep.
have a bunch of characters that are now scattered in the wind, going their different way. And
Wow.
everyone is so taken by Dodge's niece, her name is Zula, that they like all want to save her, but also kill the head terrorist because he's such a piece of shit. And so
Okay.
then it's just about how everyone's trying to figure out where they're going. The terrorist wants to basically make a big name for himself, a bigger name for himself by making it to America.
Okay.
So yeah, and then there's these big standoffs. So
Was it good? Because that sounds really like convoluted.
well, it's like three stories in one if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what happens is it's basically
Yeah.
three books where it's like okay this like our standoff in China with like the raid of the wrong apartment probably could have been the end of book one, and then
Sure.
the middle book is like everybody getting to the next phase, like getting out of
Sure.
China because obviously you've made this huge scene.
Yeah.
Now you're trying to survive, and then book three could have been like our big final
The
standoff, right?
final. Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. There was definitely parts I enjoyed more than others. There was point of
Sure.
views I enjoyed more than others. As you know,
Sure.
like sometimes when we spend too much time switching point of views, that it frustrates me.
Yes.
There's definitely some of that at the end again as we kept like going
Okay.
back and being like, okay, and here's our reference point. It's like, okay, just
Yes.
let's get to the part where we like figure out who dies and who doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, incredibly well written, incredibly well like researched. There was just obviously a book that big. There's so much that goes into it.
Yes.
I think if we had tried to read it, it would have taken like a month, and then the podcast would have been like 5 hours at least. Like it was just so
Yeah.
much that went on there. So I'm glad I read it. I
Mhm.
would be hesitant unless, like, again, somebody like Andrew or somebody was like, also, you need to read this by him because I've heard that's like internet rumors I've read about Stevenson is that like you never know what you're going to get with him. So
Oh,
even though like one of them's a hit, maybe the next one's not, and then you're in for a couple
okay.
pages or whatever.
Yeah.
So
You'd only do like vetted, pre-vetted thing.
yes, it would have to be vetted for sure because that kind of it's like we've talked about with George R. R. Martin, right? Where if you spend so much time describing an apple on the fucking table and you have 50 other plates of food, Jesus Christ, we'll be here all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of what this felt like at times, where it was like,
Sure.
okay, this is, yeah. I had to stop in the middle to read the podcast book just because of timing reasons and
Yep.
everything else. So that is what it is. But yeah, it's a lot, and it counts
That's
for
a big
one book
one.
on my ear.
Yeah, wow. A huge one.
Yeah. So anyway, that is all I've gotten up to. I'm excited to get into something else for sure.
Smaller.
Yeah, something smaller, something that I can feel that satisfaction of reading,
Finishing.
closing
Yeah. Yeah.
much quicker. So on that note, we have your random recommendation, and this is one that was given to me by my friend Sully's lady, and she had recently read this and said it was like one of the best books she's read um, in a while. So the book is A Heartbreaking Work of Staggering Genius by Dave Eggers. And what I pulled from the internet on this is it is Dave Eggers' acclaimed 2000 memoir about becoming the guardian of his younger brother after their parents died of cancer within 5 weeks of each other. The book is known for its unique experimental style, blending humor, raw emotion, and meta commentary as it chronicles Edgar's journey from irresponsible college student to a young man raising a child, exploring themes of grief, family, and survival. Uh, Not usually my cup of tea. As you
Mm.
know, memoirs I struggle with, like even with people that Simon Pegg, if you're listening, even people that I love reading their stories, because and we've talked about this, it's all about how they deliver it.
Yes.
So we'll see. Also, nonfiction, not really my Jimmy Jam, but this is one that I will like. My goal is to read it at some point this year. I have other
Okay.
nonfictions that people have given me that I also am trying to read this year. But like for
People need
me,
to stop giving you nonfictions.
I mean, now I appreciate it because that's sometimes how you find, different interesting things. And like the last
Sure.
one Sully gave me that we've talked about before was the worst bad time or something like that. And I learned a lot about the
Mm.
Dust Bowl that I never thought I
Right.
needed
Right,
to
right,
know, but
right.
it was interesting. So I'm sure because she reads a good amount that I'm sure this is like a powerful story. It's
Yeah.
just a question of
If
getting into
it's
it.
in your, yeah, your
Yeah.
wheelhouse.
So again, it was a heartbreaking work of staggering genius by Dave Eggers. But yeah, so at some point I'll get back to you guys on that one, hopefully in the next 9 months. Maybe sooner. We'll see. And on that note,
On that note, thanks, Bryce.
we have what's on the next podcast. And this is a new author for us. I have read one of his works, but we've never covered him on the podcast. So the book is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. And the little blurb I'm going to steal from the New York Times is Hendrix's genius as a horror writer is his ability to develop complex human-scale emotional arcs. Never before has one of his books so aptly met the moment. At turns frightening, anxiety-producing, infuriating, beautiful, and sad. So we will get into that on the next episode. Again, is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. I don't know, maybe do a little horror. We'll see how that goes. So I feel like we've had good luck with horror on this show. When we dip our toes in there. So we'll get into that on the next episode, which means that is it for this episode. So a quick one for you all. Thanks for stopping by. And on that note, this has been the 114th episode of the ABC Pod, the Adult Book Club with Tasha and Russell.
Keep reading.